This year, superhero games are going louder, darker, and way more diverse than people expect. Big names, fresh takes, and a few wild surprises. Here are the top 10 new superhero games of 2026 you should keep on your radar. What's up, guys? It's Broz, and here we go. Insomniac finally broke silence on Marvel's Wolverine with a gameplay look in late 2025, and the main message was clear: this is the violent, adult side of Logan. The footage does not dance around it. Claws slice, limbs come off, and one close-up kill goes straight through the face, a moment the team has openly talked about as a line they debated before keeping it in. Liam McIntyre is doing the performance capture for Logan, and Insomniac keeps circling back to a character built on rage, pain, and stubborn protection of people who cannot protect themselves. That tone matters, since the studio is coming off Spider-Man, and Wolverine is being framed as a different kind of lead, heavier, meaner, and more intimate. Beyond Logan, most of the cast is still unannounced. The trailer also quietly laid out the travel vibe. You see Madripoor up front, and the official outline points at a hunt for answers that pushes through very different spaces, including frozen wilderness and narrow city streets in Japan. Enemy-wise, the clip confirms faces like Mystique and Omega Red, and it teases the larger world with a Sentinel and the Reavers in the mix. There is even a nerdy license plate nod: HLK 181, a wink at Wolverine's first major comic appearance. The age rating is still listed as rating pending, and Insomniac still has not locked an exact day, but the official window remains fall 2026, with the next real deep dive planned for spring. Invincible vs is Skybound's swing at a proper comic brawler, and it is built like a modern tag fighter that wants to feel as brutal as the show. The core format is 3-on-3 with fast character swaps, but the big selling point is how it handles violence. There is an overkill layer where finishers can keep going after a round is already decided, so matches end with that extra bit of nasty flair fans expect. Mechanically, it leans on two systems that keep things moving. Omni-Tag lets you call in a teammate during certain moves so combos flow into a handoff instead of a hard reset, and Heroic Boost is a limited resource that can cancel actions to extend pressure or save yourself. Quarter Up, the studio making it, has a lot of fighting game DNA from work on Killer Instinct, so the design is clearly aiming for clean inputs and readable chaos even with 3 bodies flying around for serious competition. Skybound is also treating this like a long-haul game. In late January 2026, they detailed a Year 1 character pass with 4 fighters. And one neat twist is that new characters are planned to be usable in training mode even if you do not own them, which makes labbing matchups easier without splitting the player base. A story mode is part of the package too, built around an original Invincible plot with voice work tied to the animated series. Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra has the rare superhero angle that is not about saving a city today. It is about a World War II spy thriller where the capes are forced to work inside history. The playable lineup is a 4-pack built for contrast. Captain America and Azuri, the Black Panther of the 1940s, share the headline, while a Howling Commandos soldier and a Wakandan spy let the story move through occupied Paris without turning everything into a straight fight. The off-screen headline is timing. Skydance first slid the game out of 2025, then pushed it to early 2026, and in November 2025 the studio delayed it again to a window beyond early 2026. That wording matters, since it quietly rules out the first half of the year, and makes late 2026 feel more realistic, even if there is still no firm date. What keeps it interesting is the pedigree and the vibe. Amy Hennig is steering the narrative side, and Skydance keeps framing this as a premium cinematic action-adventure where stealth, brawling, and set-piece moments all live in the same mission, backed by Wakandan tech and Howard Stark gear. The setting also gives it a nice friction point: Paris under occupation, Wakandan intelligence work, and Hydra trying to turn wartime chaos into leverage, which is a different flavor than the usual modern Marvel power fantasy. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is leaning hard into the one thing these games do best: turning a familiar hero into a toy box of systems, jokes, and collectibles that still feels like a real campaign. Gotham is the open hub again, and the writing leans into Bat-family banter, but the center of gravity is the Batcave, which acts as your upgrade and mission base while the city keeps feeding you crimes, puzzles, and big set pieces. One detail that stands out is how focused the playable cast is. The game is built around 7 heroes and anti-heroes: Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, Commissioner Gordon, Catwoman, and Talia al Ghul. That is a tighter roster than older LEGO DC games, and it makes the promise of over 100 100 batsuits and outfits more interesting, since the customization is meant to do a lot of the variety work. Combat is also getting a sharper identity. It mixes quick Lego brawling with stealth and detective bits, and there is a Dark Knight mode difficulty option aimed at players who want less button mashing and more punishment for sloppy play. Vehicles are a big part of the loop too, with more than 20 rides, plus the usual Lego nonsense where a chase can turn into a build puzzle in the middle of the street. Warner Bros. Is timing this as a clean, safe DC win after a messy few years for superhero games, and the release date is already locked, May 29, 2026. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls is a weird mashup that should not work on paper. Marvel characters filtered through Arc System Works, the studio behind Guilty Gear and Dragon Ball FighterZ, with a full anime punch to the visuals. The structure is also not the usual 2-on-2. It is a 4-on-4 tag fighter built around a shared team life bar, so you are managing momentum and assists more than hoarding a single anchor character for the end. Arc has been pretty open about the design goals. Each team member has a clear role, assists are standardized so newcomers are not lost in 100 button calls, and the tag system is built to keep the screen busy without turning it into random noise. Rollback netcode is confirmed, which matters a lot for a game that wants to live online for years. The character picks they have shown so far cover a good spread, from street-level brawlers to full-screen monsters. Spider-Man and Captain America sit next to Iron Man tech, Ms. Marvel stretch pressure, Storm controls space, and Dr. Doom brings the villain energy. Arc's style also means supers look like mini cutscenes, and the hit effects are the loud, crunchy kind that makes every confirm feel expensive. Sony is treating it like a flagship fighter, even lining up hardware support like the Flex Strike wireless fight stick for the PlayStation crowd. There is still no day on the calendar, but Marvel Tokon is set for 2026. Undefeated Genesis has one of the cleanest underdog origins in the whole superhero wave. The first Undefeated dropped in 2019 as a free game made by 3 students, and it ended up sitting around 87% positive user reviews on Steam. That small project turned into a real studio indie US games, and Genesis is them taking the same fantasy of flying around a city like a comic book hero and scaling it into a full release. Built in Unreal Engine 5, the pitch is raw superhero freedom with fewer guardrails. The city is designed for high-speed traversal. Fights lean into big airtime and heavy impacts, and the game puts a lot of weight on destruction, with streets, props, and parts of the environment meant to react when you start launching enemies through things. Even the mission tone is more disaster movie than clean crime drama, with sudden threats pushing you into rescues and brawls that can spiral fast. What makes Genesis easy to root for is how direct the team has been about the jump in scope. They have talked about staying small, getting support like an epic mega grant, and using the original game's feedback as a checklist, tighter flight control, clearer combat feedback, and more reasons to care about the city beyond sandbox mayhem. If they land that balance, Genesis becomes the rare superhero game that feels built from player wish lists instead of corporate committee notes. New Undefeated is planned for 2026 as a paid release. Avatar Legends, the fighting game, sits a little apart from the usual Cape lineup. These are not comic book superheroes, it is the Avatar universe, but the feeling is the same. Familiar icons, loud powers, and flashy duels. Only instead of capes and gadgets, you get elements and martial arts. Under the hood, it is a one-on-one fighter with hand-drawn 2D animation that aims to match the look of the shows. The dev team is Gameplay Group International, and the studio has positioned itself around reviving projects that were previously cancelled or stuck. That makes Avatar's journey into a fighting game feel unusually scrappy for such a big license. Mechanically, the key promises are competitive basics done right and tight competitive fundamentals. Rollback netcode is in, and full crossplay is in. And the gameplay focuses movement with a flow system that is meant to keep fights dynamic instead of planted. On top of the main roster, the game also talks about support characters that can jump in to add extra options, which is a smart way to squeeze more Avatar flavor into a one-on-one format without turning it into a tag circus. Launch is planned for summer 2026, and the roster target is 12 playable characters day one, spanning both The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra eras. A single-player story mode is part of the package, and the roster is planned to grow on a seasonal model after launch. My Hero Academia All's Justice is coming in hot, and the timing is not random. It is built around the Final War arc, so the whole pitch is a last lap roster where heroes and villains are finally allowed to go all out without holding back for later seasons. That focus also explains the format. Fights are 3-on-3 with fast swaps and big team combos instead of a slower, footsie-heavy duel. Bandai Namco is leaning on story presentation this time. The official description frames a dedicated story mode that lets you play through the final war from both hero and villain perspectives, and it promises game-exclusive cinematics to sell the huge clashes that the anime made famous. For people who mostly care about the competitive side, the team format is the real hook, since it lets you build synergy squads instead of maining one character forever. The business side is also unusually clear already. There's a season pass planned with 5 playable characters, and Bandai has said those DLC fighters will roll out over time through February 2027. Bandai is also selling standard, deluxe, and ultimate editions, with the higher tiers bundling the pass and extra cosmetics. MIGHTREYA is the kind of superhero game that can slip under the radar until you notice the signals around it. The publisher is 505 Games, the same label behind projects like Death Stranding, Ghostrunner, and Assetto Corsa, so this is not being treated like a tiny throwaway indie drop. The second signal is pure momentum. In October 2025, the team celebrated passing 100,000 wishlists on Steam, and they tied that milestone to feedback from their recent playtests, which tells you people have actually had hands-on time and the devs are iterating. The third signal is the setup itself, and 505's own page calls it anime-inspired hero action. You are playing as Rhea, a schoolgirl superhero, and her manager Neo, with the whole thing framed like hero content creators building their brand while dealing with monsters that pour in from another dimension. In practice, that means the game is leaning hard into spectacle action. Rhea fights with fast anime-style moves, the camera snaps around quickly, and the screen loves to explode with effects. It looks cool, but it can also get messy in motion, so readability is going to be a real talking point as the team tunes hit effects and enemy cues. Where MIGHTREYA stands out is tone. It mixes upbeat streamer energy with very aggressive combat, and it has the confidence to be weird about it instead of chasing the usual grim superhero mood. It makes sense that after NetherRealm Studios said they are done releasing new Mortal Kombat 1 DLC, a lot of fighting game fans immediately start expecting Injustice 3, especially since the devs have said the next game has been chosen for a long time, but they still cannot reveal it. And Ed Boon has also said the door for Injustice 3 is not closed. So let's go through what we actually have right now. And I'll say it right away, there is no official information. If we look at the most interesting stuff from the last couple of years, here's what we've got. In 2024, NetherRealm started hiring people for a AAA project, and a lot of fans linked that to Injustice 3. In May 2025, an account called Multiverse Susie, which many people see as close to Warner Bros., hinted that the third game is in development, and that NRS supposedly switched to Injustice 3 right after finishing the main support for Mortal Kombat 1. Then, near the end of August, info started going around online that 2 voice actors, who supposedly worked on Superman and Green Lantern in the previous games, were seen at a Warner Bros. Motion capture studio. Also, Lamar reportedly told a fan in Houston, while signing an Injustice 2 steelbook, that they're making another one, they're doing Injustice 3. Around the same time, Newburn mentioned he was currently working on Injustice 3 when speaking with another fan. Those comments spread fast across social media, and a lot of people treated them as the first credible sign that the series is coming back. On November 6, WBD leadership mentioned that games based on key DC franchises are still a priority to help fix the financial situation after the failure of Suicide Squad. That makes Injustice 3 look like their main lifesaver in the fighting game space. So if we sum up everything we have, the most realistic thing is probably to watch Summer Game Fest. The first official Mortal Kombat 1 gameplay was shown there, so it feels like the most logical and high-profile place to bring Injustice back. But honestly, I would not expect the game to release in 2026. It's much more likely we are looking at 2027. Plus, let's not forget Netflix is buying Warner Bros. Big shakeups like that often change plans behind the scenes, and until everything is officially signed off, we might not see any major announcements. Write what you think about superhero games this year, what you're gonna play yourself, and of course, a like and a subscribe are always welcome. Thanks for watching till the end, and see you next time.